Hello, data engineers. I hope you're doing well. So in this video series, I'm gonna help you to master DBT from zero to hero in a simple way. So we're gonna start with setting up our DBT project, connecting it to our data warehouse, and then go on with your transformations. Okay? So for this video, let's focus on setting up our DBT project and connecting it to our preferred data warehouse. We're gonna start for sure with the project setup, which is installing DBT and the prerequisites, for example, Python and DBT core, and installing the adapter for your preferred data warehouse. In this video, we are using bigquery as a data warehouse for this demonstration. We're gonna as well initialize the DBT project, show you all the necessary components of the DBT project and the project structure that we're gonna follow, which is the best practice for the DBT project, which is to have our sources, then landing them in the staging layer, then the intermediate layer for the heavier transformations and aggregations, and expose them in the mart layer for dashboarding and for external use. Okay, so second of all, we're gonna connect our DBT project to bigquery. So we're gonna authenticate with GCP, configure the profile.yml, which is the file that includes all connection details, and link this profile to our DBT project file, which is the core file for our DBT project, and then test the connection. For this series, we're gonna follow this structure. We're gonna have our source layer. For your case, maybe you're gonna have external data sources, but to make it easy, I'm gonna have my source data in the same data warehouse, which is bigquery. So we're gonna have 3 tables in the source layer, then we're gonna land them in the staging layer, as well as exposing data in the mart layer. Okay, so let's begin. So for my tutorial, I'm gonna use VS Code, which is my preferred IDE. You can use whatever IDE you want, but I recommend using this one as it's easy and performant for the production. And it has many extensions, many useful extensions, precisely for Python, for DBT, etc. For example, this DBT Power User extension, which is a powerful extension for DBT that helps a lot and accelerate the time to market and the productivity. For this tutorial and for this project, we're gonna need 3 prerequisites. We're gonna need Python, we're gonna install Python, we're gonna install DBT, core, and the adapter. And then we're gonna create a virtual environment and start the setup of the project. Okay, let's come back to VS Code. Let me open a terminal, and then I already installed Python for my case. So I have the Python 3.12 already installed. If it's not the case, you can install it easily from Python website. You can install the 3.12 release for Windows or Mac OS or whatever OS you are using. Okay, once done, we're gonna install DBT, and it's already installed for me as well. So let me show you. So DBT version, you can see here that already DBT core is installed, and the plugins, which is the DBT bigquery adapter, is installed as well. For information, you don't have to install DBT core and then install DBT bigquery. You can directly install your preferred adapter, for example, DBT bigquery or DBT snowflake, etc. And then behind the scenes, it will directly install DBT core as a prerequisite. Okay, so for installing dbt bigquery, you can easily type using pipe, for example, then pipe 3 install dbt bigquery and run the command, as it's already installed on my machine, so I don't have to do that again. Okay, so once you have these two prerequisites, you can move on and create your project. So let me create a project. So let me name it dbt tutorial. Okay, and then open it. Yes, good. Let me open a terminal. I'm already on dbt tutorial. So I suggest to use a virtual environment, a Python virtual environment for your development. It's easy. You have all packages, all Python versions installed in one place, so there is no confusion with other packages on your machine. To install and activate the virtual environment, you can easily come to navigator, maybe use this command, which is python-m venv. So we're gonna name our environment .venv in this case. Well, Python not found, so in my case I'm using Python 3. Yes. So as you can see here, there is this folder venv with bin, include, lib, etc. So now what should I have? I'm gonna activate this virtual environment. So it's bin and I have activate, so I'm gonna activate it. So for macOS there is this command source and then the venv folder and then the bin folder inside it and activate command. And once you have this venv here, which means that your virtual environment is activated and up and running, and here you go, you are ready to go with your dbt project. Sounds good? Okay, let's initialize our dbt project. So dbt installed, Python installed, virtual environment activated. So let's dbt init, which is a command to initialize your first dbt project. Good. So it's telling me that I should give a name to my project. Let me give it data lead dbt. Okay, your new dbt project was created, as you can see here. We're gonna go through the structure once the configuration is done. So the profile data lead already exists. Oh, so in my case, it's already exists as I created already a profile for another project. So in your case, it will suggest to create a profile. So I'm gonna override this one. Yes. So it's suggesting me to use the what database would you like to use, BigQuery, as I'm working with the adapter of BigQuery. In your case, if you have Snowflake, Snowflake will show here, or any other adapter. So yes, I'm gonna use one as I want to use BigQuery. So the authentication method, there is two types. There is the OAuth and there is the service account. For dev purposes, I'm gonna use the OAuth method as it's the simpler one, but for the production workflows, you should go for the service account. Okay, so I'm gonna choose the first one. What is the project? GCP. So GCP project, which is the database in the BigQuery data warehouse. So let me move on to BigQuery. You can create a free trial GCP, which has the $300 for 90 days and 90 days free trial. and go for it and create an account. And as I already have an account, you came here to BigQuery interface, as you can see here. Okay. So in my case, you can create another project, but in my case, I'm gonna use the default project, which is this one. So let me go to this project. As I can see here, this is the project ID. So let me copy project ID and come here, paste it. Dataset name, I have already dataset created manually. For example, first dataset, let me use it, or just skip this part if you don't have any dataset, or if you want to create it later. First dataset. The threads, what this means? This means that DBT will execute, GCP will execute how many models in parallel. For example, for the big projects, when you deploy, when you run DBT run or DBT build, how many models at once BigQuery will run on the data warehouse. So we have for this, which is a tutorial. So I'm gonna use one. So I want to run one model at a time. So the job execution timeout, let's choose the default one, 300 seconds. Desired location, let me choose Europe. And the profile was created. So to test which if the connection is successful and everything is set up, we can run, let me free the terminal, we can run dbt debug. But before running dbt debug, let me go through the project structure. This is the project that we created. As you can see here, this is the project structure. This is our main folder that we're gonna use to do all our transformations, which is the models. Here we're gonna define our, as you can see here, there is this first ones by default here. This is our SQL files where we're gonna define our transformations. The macros is the functions for DBT to apply the dry principle. Don't repeat yourself. If you have some logic that you repeat every time, you can develop a function or a macro for it and use it. We have the seeds, which is the static data sets. For example, the mapping CSV files, for example, lookup tables. If you have a catalog, for example, you can upload it here and use it. Snapshots for the, if you want to implement, for example, the changing dimensions, for example, which is capture all history of the data. Tests is here, we're gonna develop all our tests. The analysis is the compiled SQL files, but are not materialized at the data warehouse. If you want to have only, for example, a SQL file that do some logic, but you don't want to have a destination table in the data warehouse, you can use it. Okay, so let me do the dbt debug and try if the connection is good or not. As you can see here, we have the profile.yml found, but the connection was not successful. The connection test is successful, but the dbt project error not found, so there is no error. Okay, project loading failed for the following reason. dbt project.yml not found. Okay, so because we are not on the folder, we are on dbt tutorial, so we are not finding the dbt project.yml. So we should change the directory. Okay, we have this project, change directory, and let's run again the dbt debug. Normally it should be good. So as you can see, it's all green. So the test, now we are connecting to our BigQuery. For your information, because I already did it, if you didn't, you should install gcloud, the CLI for BigQuery, and then connect to your preferred data warehouse using the authentication method that you choose. In my case, the username password method. So now we have our project prepared. So let me go to the BigQuery interface and show you. I've created a source data set manually, and I created 3 tables that we will be using for demonstration: the raw customers, raw orders, raw payments. Let me show you a sample of data that we have there. Good. So for the next videos, we're gonna continue with the transformations. Now we have our DBT project set up and good to go. So we're gonna define our sources, then our staging models, do some transformations on the intermediate layer, and then expose our final dimensions and facts in the marked layer. And with that, we're gonna be ready to expose our data to dashboarding. And we're gonna as well generate documentation and do some tests, null checks, constraints, etc. on our data. So that's all for this first video of setting up a DBT project. I hope it was useful for you, and see you in the next episode.